Hi again. Welcome back to Little Big Wins. If this is the first time you are tuning in, this is just my place or my podcast where I just express my experiences that I hope are helpful or insightful to anyone who may have had similar thoughts or are experiencing similar things or you want to experience similar things. And what Little Big Wins goals are is to, well, what I would like it to do is I let it document and my expression of little things that I am doing in life that maybe publicly does not carry a particular prestige or even importance to anyone else, but just to myself, just kind of in my private sphere of things. And I will say the rewards of that, of all the little unknown completions and actions and intentions, have actually added up to a myriad of bigger things. And of course, no one can deny seeing that series or collection of singularity in actions and in intentions really does add up. Hey, pennies add up. So does this. So I have dedicated and created and dedicated this little wee podcast, which might be little to everyone else, and not significant really to anyone except for me. And that is totally cool. Down with that. Totally down with that. Today's topic is on finishing things, crossing the finish line on projects, on things you've started creating, missions that you've initiated, initiatives that you've initiated, and on, degrees that you've started, jobs that you've commenced, and I mean, just on and on. It's really anything. And I did not want this topic to be the first of my topics, generally because I was still trying to formulate, okay, emotionally, exactly how can I approach this without sounding like it's a lecture. So it's not one of my first or initial, one of my first initial podcasts. However, it is, it could be seen as a primary one, just not a first one. And it could be seen, I mean, clearly a tertiary one, but not a first one. But I think, however, it's in the timeliness of these podcasts I'm creating and offering, now is a good time to actually do that. A lot of it is because intuitively I'm at a crossroads with other things as well. In a previous a recent podcast, I did state that I was finishing up the initial build-up phase of my businesses, and that I can not move on from them, but I can add things like returning full-time to the workforce. And a third component of this crossroads is I'm feeling more emotionally nurtured and more mentally healthy to return to that career life, that full-time career life, and all the bells and whistles that come with that. I had been doing a lot of odd jobs. I had been doing a lot of substitute teaching. I had been doing a lot of working whenever I want, which I still do, ultimately. However, I do feel like this crossroads is offering me a chance to feel, and also I do emotionally, genuinely, authentically, like feeling 100 on the for real, about my returning full-time to work as well. I had also been doing adjunct work as well. And I have had the time not to be so self-lambasting about career and getting that done and crossing the river. I have in a previous life actually had that life already, and all the luxuries that come with that, as paychecks and bonuses go in a conventional type of career. However, I needed to stop and take a break from that. It's been like over a decade and a half, really, since I had a personal tragedy that had happened, and it really rocked me. Really, really rocked me, and so I needed to really take time to do that, and then and focus on other things. I not only had done smaller jobs so that I could focus more on big mental health and emotional health issues. I also needed to deal with that past situation, like really deal with it. And I really found that I could not do that with full-time career as I had once done before. I needed to take this time to do this. But thankfully, there were other tender mercies of the Lord that came flooding in. I now have a 40-part a business, 40 plus part business, as I had previously stated. But also I'm just feeling ready. I have expended myself in the curating of intentions and the experiencing of so many moments that I needed that were not heavy laden with career. I actually was able to really, truly, genuinely focus on emotional health, revival, and really take the time to look at the multiple chambers of my mind and really take it apart. And I did that. I feel like I approached that with the Lord, and I truly had what the scriptures say: a broken heart and a contrite spirit. And I thank my Heavenly Father for sending His Son and offering us the atonement to not only return back to our Heavenly Father, but to also have a realization of what particular mindset I want to have that is more appropriate to return back to Heavenly Father. So that's like a major component of my experience. So I've said that in previous episodes in one way or another, even multiple times, and I talked about the respect of the singularity that one particularly needs, or at least I experienced that I needed in those processes. I was also creating things like jobs like businesses, and I really love it. And I also spoke about how I designed those particular businesses to be automated. Mostly automated, if not semi-automated. And I've also designed it so it's not just automation only, that I do have hands-on experiences also that I have set up myself for, so that it's not just, all too easy. And so one day we'll talk about the psychology of that as well. And so now I'm feeling that is on its way to really finishing that first final phase of it, and also finishing that era in my life where I have really dug my heels and dug my prayers into that healing. I feel like we'll continue to heal, of course, and have bouts of this and that and moments still, self-realizing and feeling things, but I feel like there has been a milestone, a collection of milestones that have allowed me to say, hey, next phase. And so there are some finishings that are happening and completions now that I am experiencing. It's almost, I do feel that I have done the work for that particular part of my life's journey. And so if you might be feeling the same, or if you're looking to hear someone who can actually crystallize and actually construct an explanation of those emotional compartments in your head that need that explaining and that crystallization and that and experience to offer you. Look no further. I feel like I have that to offer. Before I had a personal tragedy, about 15 years ago, I cannot believe it's been a decade and a half. I just cannot believe it. I did not have the exact same mindset. I feel I had the intuitive foundations for it, and it was this personal tragedy, which was actually a relationship tragedy that had happened, and I feel like I will never, ever forget it. Never, ever forget it. And how can I? And that actually needed an attention component from me to take a look at that, but also to take a look at myself and to use the atonement not in some general way, but to really have it actually dug its heels into my life and into the multiple emotional chamber sets in my own mind, and find more of a core as to where I was before all that. And I have truly grown. I ponder often on Adam and Eve. After their creation, they were here. I'm sure there was a time when there were moments of bliss, of course, in the garden especially. But then, they committed a particular act that had them kicked out of that particular Elysium. And suddenly effort was actually demanded of them. Actual effort, like bona fide, actual earth life effort. The type of effort that the creating of this earth was meant to be a lab for, and to see how they would do. And I think they were obviously better off for it, and in times worse off. However, how else were they going to actually get tested? And the depth of their experiences as our first parents, right, so to speak, has not been lost on me throughout my own experience of experiencing a certain leaving of emotional safety. However, I always felt that I had the emotional foundations, the complexities, emotional complexities to actually deal with it, but they were definitely tested and strengthened, broken even, and then rebuilt. And I'm still in that. I've had to get used to that particular type of quagmire that I'm so used to now that it's not a quagmire anymore. And I don't know if I will 100% feel healed ever in this lifetime from that experience that rocked me. But I do know I feel like I am on my way. And there is a sense of accomplishment. I will not say that it's the closing of one door and opening of another. I feel like it's just an opening of another door. Never quite a closing of a previous one. And so if I'm making sense to you, great. If I'm not, make a comment or something. I'd be happy to have a do-over in that particular phrase that attempts to crystallize what I'm feeling now. Anyway, so with all that, all those moving gigantic boulders and mountains of their own right, each to their own right, I feel that I can now, today, discuss and offer what finishing is. What does it mean to actually finish? And we can go on, or we can waffle. There's a lot of waffling back and forth as to what finishing means. We can talk Victor Turner. We can talk Aristotelianism. We can talk Platonic Socraticisms. We could talk Heideggerian. We could talk about his framing and Gestaltung. and on and on. However, I do want to not be so maybe bougie, snooty about that and frame that particular approach. I think because I'm not saying it's not because you cannot handle that. I'm just saying every single human, I believe, has an intuition built in to wonder about if they are going to deal with something and something hard and ask themselves, am I going to get through that? Am I going to get through that? My particular experience personally, I am getting through that. I am getting through it. And I hope that you too can also feel that there's an other side to that. There's an other side to whatever you're experiencing. And so I feel that that's what I mean by finishing. I don't want to put a typical same old cliched definition on finishing. I just want to express that yes, there is an other side to your projects, your emotional projects and mental health projects. And I say projects for lack of a better word, but I mean experiences and strengthening. There's an other side to my businesses. They are looking like their build up online is actually looking completed and fully operational. Well, practically fully operational and sustainable for sure. And all the research that comes with that and the testing that comes with that and the cobbling it together. There is an other side to it that's different and further progressed from when you started that particular project. I also want to bring up a couple other things that I basically started and just have not finished. I had been accepted like 7 years ago to a master's degree program. Another master's degree program. I actually do not need another master's degree program, but I feel like I'm going to show any potential employers that this is my way of recertifying and keeping up is, well, I might as well get another degree. Other than the conventional, more micro level certifications like at a workplace. But this I can actually do at least half online currently. And so it worked out that I did wait. That program required 3 semesters of me to be on site here in New York City. I was going to come to New York City with or without being accepted in that program. But as fate would have it, as destiny would have it, I was accepted. And then that had to be put on hold, and then I had to reapply. And I got in again, and then here it's on hold again now. I just was not ready to return quite yet to that program. However, I will make a promise with you that I will finish that program within the next year or so. And the dynamics of that program has actually changed. I can actually get it done in 2 semesters rather than 3. And one of those semesters, currently the status of that program, requires me to be on site vis-a-vis, and the other semester only requires online presence, which I am so grateful that I did wait. But I do feel an urgency to go back and finish that. Whoops, sorry for that. A little bit of light refraction. My hand moved. Anyway, so I feel like I want to go towards getting that ready and completed. And thankfully, half of the program is unlimited residency and physically, at least vis-a-vis, and the other half I can just do online. And I know that my whichever employers that I will be employed by soon, will be open to that. Absolutely. And some of you might also be asking, well, wait a minute, Kira, don't you think that's a lot of projects going on? You know, you've got the multiple DBAs, the multiple businesses that you've got online to take care of. Why do you want this job, full-time job? Why do you want to return to that? And third, why do you want to get this finish this other degree that you actually virtually just don't even need? It's a matter of finishing. It is a matter of the principle of finishing. And in my mind, it has been worked out. And it might not be worked out in your mind looking into my life. But in my life, that I'm in it, swimming in this very nice warm jacuzzi that only I am swimming in right now. For me and myself and my projects and my intentions and my expressions and my wants and my needs. I would like to finish that. Like I said, I've got businesses. I feel like that it also has an easiness about working online to continue the businesses are not difficult businesses. I designed I designed them that way as well, and that frees me up to go and be a participant full time back into the conventional workforce. So there's time for that, and with that will come particular paycheck amounts and luxuries that also helps me to do practical things like run ads for the businesses so they eventually will run themselves, and also to help pay for the final tuitions and class fees for that degree. And it's important to me to complete that, to finish that. There's a particular yearning that I have experienced in things that I have not completed. And I feel like it's maybe linked, but not entirely traveling in the same vehicle as like hyper over-accomplishment, overachiever type of thing. I don't believe I'm that at all. Other people might think differently, but I don't think that's what is driving me to finish that particular degree program. It's not what's driving me. What's driving me is the sense of not self-worth, not self-accomplishment, not self-confidence, not self-dignity, but a particular type of need to prove to myself that needs to be done, that I cannot leave any rock unturned. The rocks that I've turned over, like these degrees I've started, I need to come full circle, put them back where I found them, turned right side up, and then have the particular correct moment to turn them back up again, look under, and then set them aside. It's almost like like a messy room, an unkempt, messy room. There's like disorganization that you see here and there, laundry on the floor, an unmade bed. There are particular needs for me to intuitively fix my unmade bed, pick up laundry and put the laundry where it belongs, let alone go and have them washed or send them to the wash. for a pickup by laundry professionals, or to go downstairs to the basement to the coin laundry and get her done. Trash not taken out, the trash bins filled or even half filled, they've got to be completed, and by way of getting tossed out and no longer hanging out in my living space. I'm hungry and I've got to eat. So there are, if you could understand my understanding of finishing the job, is maybe another way I want to say. Things are just made incomplete. And I do not want to live a life where I do not complete what I started, good things I started. Of course, there's like crocheting and knitting. Maybe I have not finished. I have not prioritized those types of projects quite yet. I do want to prioritize the completion of this degree that I've kind of left hanging and looming over me. But it's not looming over me like a buzzard or a vulture. It's not that at all. It's just the need to complete it. And there's something wholesome about that. Absolutely. Something wholesome about that. And so those are just some of my first thoughts about finishing, being able to finish things. And I do love being a student. I absolutely love being a student. The other thing that I want to add to finishing is I love singing and I love dancing on stage. And I have not been able to do that because I've been focusing again on other things like mental health, re-nurturing, emotional health, re-nurturing, a lot of internal come to Jesus moments as well. Just that time I took, as you know. But another thing I would like to finish are some productions I've started and would like to see finished. I had started a project out in Indian country. Indian meaning American Indian, Native American, particularly Lakota country out in the South Dakota and the Dakotas. And I started a project there that select tribal elders had not financially commissioned me to do, but spiritually and economically told me, hey, they'd like to see this done. And of course, me being a very traditional type of island native, I listened to these tribal elder natives from their part of the world, from their part of the indigenous world that we all have an affinity and connection to, and outright born into, of course. And so I had started a cultural center, and I conducted it in ways that are similar to my experience of a cultural center, a blessed, beloved cultural center that I'm still involved with in my own home region in the Pacific. But I did kind of a replica of it, started to, for the Oglala peoples, which are a band of the Lakota tribe, the greater Lakota tribe. And the point of my particular project, was to do really two things. All of these, by the way, were cleared and if not directed to me by tribal elders. And one of them, one of the main goals of that particular project, cultural center project, was to revitalize the culture and the language of Northern Great Plains American Indian tribal culture, ancient culture. I was instructed and I agreed with to not present anything political, although I did write and copyrighted a play called Crazy Horse Tashunke Wiko, which was about the life and times of Crazy Horse, or His Horse is Enchanted. Cha Oha, a very famous medicine man that also went into battle during the Indian Wars, a notorious figure for sure, and a cherished and a loved figure for sure as well. So anyway, so I was doing all this in my time on the Northern Great Plains, which has become another home to me. Indigenous country there, cowboy and Indian country is a very for real thing, and I'm so grateful in my heart that it's also part of my life, my personal life, my professional life, intellectual life, even my spiritual life, and of course an economical life and a financial life. Being a consultant and a creator and founder of that first effort. And so with that, we have wonderful tribal elders, one in particular that I listen to and hear to, and was made a relative of through a hunka ceremony, to be a helpmate in going back eventually and reestablishing that for good and forever. And so in that way, their language, the languages and the cultures, the beautiful things of the language and culture, non-political, are reflourished in the good way, as we say that phrase, in the good way. We say that on the Northern Great Plains. Part two of that is to provide jobs to combat the high poverty there, and the high unemployment. And if you know Indian country, then you know there's all kinds of reasons for high unemployment, and a lot of it is corruption. And so I have vowed to, once I get myself rolled up and rolling again, I will eventually go back and not live there again. However, make several visits, of course, long visits, to get that reestablished for our ohana, or our tioshpai, as we say in Lakota, Lakhotia language, to reestablish that cultural center. There's so much excitement about that. I was really able to see the arts flourish with the Lakotas hosting an entire myriad of Northern Great Plains tribal peoples who were there, and also to have training so that there is a degree program once again, that they could actually be artists and language, indigenous language continuers, I guess would be a good word, and revitalizers of their beautiful languages, which we're seeing a markdown, a decrease in that, as so many of our tribal elders in that region who are fluent are passing away. And when they pass away, the language and the cultural norms of ancient times, as far as I know it, go with them. And I do not want to see that end. So I would like to go back and finish it. Sounds like a big job. Perhaps it is. However, it was such a joy to participate in that. And we had immediate buy-in from the community. The problem there, however, is the corruption there of the wrong people made it political. And so, of course, with my time away, I have been able to think through and work through other things to rebuild that and to have it safe from the political corruption at the tribal level. I say that very boldly, but if you know me and if you know how tribes run, it's a very common thing and a common knowledge. And we've got to buckle up, strap in, and do what's right for the people, or I plan to, and reestablish that with all the trainings too that come with that. And if need be, reestablish our own degree programs through the 501c3 nonprofit that I actually set up for the tribes there. It would behoove us to complete that, for me to go back and finish that, and to finish it. I feel like we did it correctly the first time. And so I'd learned so much from that experience that I could go back now and with more ease, now that I'm seasoned in it, to go back and finish that. So in here, I'm adding that there is a great importance to finish projects like that because they help so many people. They enhance life for so many people. And I, of course, I have a soft spot in my heart for fellow Indigenous people who are like me, Indigenous under U.S. auspices or even Canadian auspices or elsewhere, and doing really, really beautiful things. I thank the Polynesian Cultural Center, of which I'm still a part of, for having that model for so many of us Indigenous folks, and for me to have once or still participate in those celebratory pageantry presentations that so many of our tribal elders took years to build, put together, and present in great authenticity and great discipline, and in a way that was not wasteful of our gifts of Indigenous life, gifted to us, created originally by our Heavenly Father through His Son, Jesus Christ. And it's Indigenous. I just love it. I mean, Christ Himself is an Indigenous native person from His Indigenous region, tribal person too, just like us on this side of the world. And so it makes sense that he's down with that. He's totally okay with that. And he, through his church, of course, has built, like I'd said, the PCC, the Polynesian Cultural Center. Makes sense that he's into that. How the many wonderful, beautiful things that we offer as Indigenous peoples from around the world, and in beautiful, great, cheerful ways that are pure and without corruption. So anyway, I've given you some examples of projects I'm aiming to finish. They are a wonderful job, the wonderful things and phenomenon I would like to see completed. And they're very authentic to who I am as a person. And there are many more things that I have not mentioned that I'd like to go back and finish. Those are two big things that I wanted to express here, just as examples. And if you yourself, whoever's listening, feel that you could also go and complete a project or complete an effort, because right now it just feels like an unmade bed, I'm just cheering you on. I'm totally cheering you on. And those two projects I have mentioned seem like they're big, but me getting there to start them in the first place took little steps. And again, like so many things, the collection of little steps, one after the other, in great persistence and perseverance, led to bigger things that enhance human life, either mine or communities. And there's something really wonderful about those very unselfish approaches, and completing them can be very crucial for entire communities even. But also for yourself, give yourself a hug and just love on yourself, to understand that your needs are also important, and the need to finish something that you started is totally, totally significant, and it does mean a lot. As President Russell M. Nelson had said a few years back, the Lord just loves every effort. I'm totally paraphrasing, but I wanted to end our podcast session here. Thank you so much for listening into Little Big Wins.